Aquifers, underground stores of fresh water.
Found out that you were the cold scientific type, not given to flights of fancy.
Aquifers are underground layers of rock that are saturated with water that can be brought to the surface through natural springs or by pumping. The groundwater contained in aquifers is one of the most important sources of water on Earth. About 30% of our liquid freshwater is groundwater, according to the National Oceanic and Atmospheric Administration. The rest is found at the surface in lakes, streams, rivers, and wetlands. Most of the world's freshwater, about 69%, is locked away in glaciers and ice caps. The U.S. Geological Survey website has a map of important aquifers in the contiguous United States. So as we know, when they arrived here and the genocide that took place on the Native Americans was so vast that it changed the climate, and that's what caused the atmosphere of the earth to dip, and for the ice caps to form, and for the walls the wall of Antarctica to form. It was the killing of us, the taking away of our carbon monoxide, and the overexposure of the oxygen that we were not taking in. So if 69% of our fresh water is locked away in glaciers and ice caps, now that our numbers are getting back to where they need to be, it's not global warming that's happening. Things are just going back to normal. Let's continue. Groundwater can be found in a range of different types of rock, but the most productive aquifers are found in porous, permeable rock, such as sandstone, or the open cavities and caves of limestone aquifers. Groundwater moves more readily through these materials, which allows for faster pumping and other methods of extracting the water. Aquifers can also be found in regions where the rock is made of a denser material, such as granite or basalt, if that rock has cracks and fractures. Aquifers come in many shapes and sizes, but they are really a contained underground repository of water, said Stephen Phillips, a hydrologist with the U.S. Geological Survey in Sacramento, California. Dense, impermeable material like clay or shell can act as an aquitard, i.e., a layer of rock or other material that is almost impenetrable to water. Though groundwater might move through such material, it will do so very slowly, if at all. Faults or mountains can also block the movement of fresh groundwater, as can the ocean, Phillips said. An aquitard can trap groundwater in an aquifer and create an artesian well. When groundwater flows beneath an aquitard from a higher elevation area to a lower elevation, such as from a mountain slope to a valley floor, the pressure on the groundwater can be enough to force the water out of any well that's drilled into that aquifer. Such wells are known as artesian wells, and the aquifers they tap into are called artesian aquifers or confined aquifers. So aquifer is the fresh water that comes from rain, slides down mountains, is poured into the ground through stream beds that slowly falls underground, and it's collected or it's pulled in between material that's impenetrable to water. So aquifers, they end up being underground reservoirs of just clean fresh water that can be tapped into. Let's continue. When new surface water enters an aquifer, it recharges the groundwater supply. Recharge primarily happens near mountains, and groundwater usually flows downward from mountain slopes toward streams and rivers. Depending on the density of the rock and soil through which groundwater moves, it can creep along as slowly as a few centimeters in a century, according to Environment Canada. In other areas where the rock and soil are looser and more permeable, groundwater can move several feet in a day. The water in an aquifer can be held beneath the Earth's surface for many centuries. Hydrologists estimate that the water in some aquifers is more than 10,000 years old, meaning that it fell to the Earth's surface as rain or snow roughly 6,000 years before Egypt's Great Pyramid of Giza was built. The oldest groundwater ever found was discovered 2 miles deep in a Canadian mine and trapped there between 1.5 and 2.64 billion years ago. But the deeper one digs for water, the saltier the liquid becomes, Phillips said. Groundwater can be very, very deep, but eventually it's a brine, he said. For freshwater, the depths are very limited. The article used in this segment was found at livescience.com. If you search aquifers, underground stores of fresh water, it should come up.